Hello, my name is Feyikemi Osundina, and this summer I was a pharmacy intern at Fairview Hospital. This year I graduated from North Ridgeville High School and will be attending the University of Toledo in the fall studying pre-pharmacy. And today I will be talking to you about the effectiveness of teaching methods on pharmaceutical-based learning. So with the healthcare system continuously evolving, healthcare professionals must keep up to date with the latest developments. However, concern presents about what teaching methods are actually effective in increasing acquisition and retention of information. Since the establishment of the internet, online education has provided healthcare professionals with an alternative learning method. However, traditional classroom methods of teaching are often still the preferred means of medical education. Studies comparing web-based learning to traditional classroom sessions are amongst various healthcare professions, notably within medicine and nursing, and have shown numerous advantages and success. However, to date, there are no randomized trials of pharmacists and/or technicians that specifically compare the acquisition and retention of information in live presentation, enhanced online learning, and information pamphlet. Therefore, randomized trials of pharmacists and technicians should be done to test teaching method effectiveness, which is what was done for our research here. So our hypothesis for this research is as follows. If pharmacy staff is divided into 3 learning method groups, live presentation, enhanced online learning, and informative pamphlet, and tested afterwards for acquisition and retention of information, then the live presentation participants will have higher scores. To start our research, an online survey on pharmacy staff development and education was administered to all pharmacy staff to determine learning method preferences. The pharmacy staff was then divided into 3 learning method groups on the topic of apnea of prematurity, and I prepared a PowerPoint presentation on these topics and presented them live in front of a group of pharmacists and technicians. These presentations were also given online in the form of a PowerPoint with my voice overlay and a handout that included simply the slides. Participants for the online and informative pamphlet group were directed to study the information given for a short period of time and then take the post-test without referring back to the information, so the post-test could truly test retention. This process was repeated again for the topic of croup to allow a larger data pool, considering the pharmacy staff only includes about 50 people. A post-test survey was then administered to all 3 learning method groups to determine retention scores and opinion on the presentation. As mentioned earlier, the pharmacy staff was asked to complete a survey on pharmacy staff development, and survey results were then analyzed to determine learning method preferences of the entire pharmacy staff and pharmacists and technicians separately. Results from the pre-survey, represented by the graph shown here, showed that 45% of the entire pharmacy staff preferred live presentation. 54% of pharmacists preferred live presentation, and 45% of technicians preferred enhanced online learning. The post-test was also administered by survey to all 3 learning method groups. Survey results were analyzed to determine retention of the entire pharmacy staff and pharmacists and technicians separately. Results from the post-test represented in the graph shown here that the majority of participants scored highest with an informative pamphlet with an average score of 92%, followed by the enhanced online learning group with an average score of 85%, and the live presentation group with an average score of 73%. Pharmacists on average also scored higher in all 3 learning method groups than technicians. The average post-test scores separated by pharmacists and technicians are shown here in the top table. Again, you can see that both pharmacists and technicians scored higher with the informative pamphlet. Participation is also shown in the bottom table. Participation for all learning method groups was voluntary, so we cannot control equal separation of pharmacists and technicians, which is apparent in the informative pamphlet group, which there were only 7 pharmacists compared to the 20 technicians that participated. So with this research, our hypothesis was disproved, and participants of the live presentation group did not achieve the highest scores on the post-test. Participants of the informative pamphlet group actually scored the highest. However, when comparing just the enhanced online learning group with the live presentation group, it is interesting to note that the online group scored higher than the live group. This supports other medical and nursing studies, as mentioned in our introduction, which concluded web-based learning as an acceptable and effective teaching method in comparison to traditional classroom methods. We can also conclude from our results that there is no apparent difference in successful teaching methods between pharmacists and technicians, besides overall higher scores of pharmacists than technicians in all three methods. So when presenting on topics relative to pharmacy education, using informative pamphlets would be an acceptable teaching method. Furthermore, when deciding between live presentation and enhanced online learning, the latter online method is the more effective teaching method in regards to retention of material by participants. So just a few acknowledgments here to the people who were also involved in this research and made everything possible. My mentor, Michael Hoeing, my co-mentors, Donald Zabriskie and Shannon Prater, and all the wonderful pharmacy staff at Fairview Hospital, and the Cleveland Clinic Office of Civic Education Initiatives Summer Internship Program. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen and watch my presentation here today.